The following is a presentation of iRacing on PTRTV. We'd like to thank all of our channel partners for their support. Please like and subscribe to the channel, and we hope you enjoy today's broadcast.
Good evening, race fans. It's time to get ready to start your engines and strap in tight for this roller coaster ride, because we are here for some epic, full throttle, high octane sports car racing. Tonight, Elbows Out Racing makes its own slice of racing history as it rolls onto primetime racing TV for its debut, bringing you all the action, drama, and intensity of the season finale for Season 8 in Multiclass. And what a setting we have! The iconic Belgian circuit, simply known as Spa-Francorchamps, a track that really needs no introduction. This just over 4.35 mile, 20-turn monster has been a proving ground for racing's greatest legends for over a century, and every summer is the home to the world-renowned and world-famous CrowdStrike 24 Hours. Its iconic corners, Eau Rouge, Radiant, Blanchiment, Courbe Paul Frere, Stavelot have challenged the brave, rewarded the skilled, and also, in the meantime, punished the clearly reckless. But tonight, it's all about the drivers on this grid. They're the stars of our show. This is multi-class racing at its most brutal, where traffic becomes a battlefield and strategy is just as crucial as speed. The GTP and GT3 Pro titles are now locked in with one round to spare, courtesy of Drew Zerio and Paul Nye Sr., but GT3AM is still up for grabs with the top three in class split by only just 11 points. With nothing left to lose, you can bet that Messrs Panaro, Chiapuzio and Ondera will be on the limit, and maybe even a little bit beyond, to try and take home the crown tonight. Hello everyone, welcome along. My name's Florian Rudiger, and alongside me in the booth tonight, the man with all the insights and analysis, Brad Dalton, joins me. Brad, we found that through our due diligence and also research coming into this appearance by Elbows Out Racing here on Primetime Racing TV, it's been one of their best seasons so far. What can the fans expect tonight here in the Ardennes Forest?
Yeah, Florian, it's nice to have you along here on PTR TV, and a good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're at in the world watching here. This is, Florian, you said it best. No better introduction needed there. It is Spa, it is action, it is excitement, and this is a track that is going to challenge these drivers in ways that they haven't been challenged all season. We've gone through 10 rounds now, and we are indeed on that round 11 here in in Season 8. Started all the way back in December 18th at Watkins Glen. They've went through Sebring, they've went through Laguna Seca, Daytona, Imola, Road America, Coda, Le Mans on February 19th, but there's just something about Spa that just, it hits a little bit different. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it really, really does. We've got GTP and GT3 action, of course, the speed variation. The GTPs will be topping out at about 190, 195 miles an hour, going down the infamous Camel Straight, heading into Les Combes. And then, of course, you've got the rundown from La Source at turn 1, right the way down to Eau Rouge et Radiant. It's a combination chicane. We are now riding on board with, I think this is one of the Ferraris we're with at the moment, and it's Drew Zerio, the man who has picked up the title in Season 8 of Elbows Out Racing. He has really done a fantastic job this season. He's picked up 3 wins, 1 pole position, 10 top 5s, and as you can see, the Ferrari 499P heading down the Camel Straight, 7th gear, 7,153 RPM, down the gearbox into second gear, 90 miles an hour, and then it's through into Les Combes, into down towards Malmedy, now into the right-hand hairpin, originally known as Bruxelles, now known as Rivage, and then you've got the 90 left, known as Jackie X Corner. It's also more commonly known to the Belgian locals as Speaker's Corner, which is where the circuit commentators used to be, and then we go into what was double gauche, now known as the double left here at Pouhon. And Drew is carrying so much speed, 150 miles an hour in 5th gear, modulating the throttle through the corner. And now it's the run down to the chicane here at Le Fagne, down to 3rd. And you could hear, oh, well, he's made a bit of a hash of that one. He went through the kitty litter, the back end stepped out to the left, and he's had to abort that lap, but he is leading in this 10-minute qualifying session. We have a 60-minute race around this 4.35 mile, 7.004 kilometre circuit that was first opened back in September of 1921. So, folks, it's been in use for what will now be its 104th year. At one point, it was also a 20-kilometre circuit with the famed Master Kink. And more to the point, that was the most fearsome corner, according to 3-time Formula 1 world champion Sir Jackie Stewart. But the battle for second is really heating up in GTP. We've got Eric Mack, Adan Garcia. We've also got, I think it's Wineland, who's rounding out the top 4. Can't see him on the grid for tonight, but Zach Nerney, the number 31 from Sweden, is also a possible shoe-in for what could be second in the championship. We've got 3 minutes to go in qualifying, and, well, Paul Nye Sr., one of the admins behind this league, that is a very damaged McLaren. That was Matt Toppen in the number 50. That car was a shadow of its former self, and also its former shell thereof. Matt having a big off in qualifying. That puts him 7th in GT3 overall. But Paul Nye Sr. has done a stellar job to win the GT3 Pro class in the 66 McLaren. 2 pole positions, 4 wins, 8 top 5s, and 51 quality passes. One of the the highest out of everybody. Total passes done this season has been by Tyler Steeneck. Now, we have the end-of-line penalty award for the top 3 in the GT3 class. Those drivers are as follows: Colin Bourdon, who is 3rd in GT3 Pro, Tyler Steeneck, and Magnus McFalls. They've been given a qualifying ban, so they are unfortunately sitting in pit lane. So it's a bit like saying, well, you might have been on the top 3, but you're going to detention anyway. They are, and the thing is that looking at the GT3 Pro side of things, Paul Nye Sr.'s got the championship locked in. Tyler Steeneck needs to finish at least 7th or better to lock in 2nd. Bourdon's 3rd, but he needs to have a 26-point gain to take P2. So he basically needs to win. Steeneck 8th. If he's 2nd, Steeneck needs to be 16th, P3, and Steeneck 20th. So there's so many different permutations on that. We've also got one of the other drivers, Brian Metteler, in the number 46 Acura NSX. He rounds out 4th in GT3 Pro at the moment. So there's a lot of permutations here, but it's got to be the case that if Steeneck finishes ahead of Bourdon, it's game over. Then we talk about GT3AM. Top 3 covered by 11 points. It's the closest battle. This title has yet to be decided. And this is Hunter Hoffman in the number 50, the 052 Acura, coming through Blanchimont, probably at the best part of 150 miles an hour in 6th gear. Will go hard on the brakes into the chicane, formerly known as the bus stop. Will go into pit road with just under 30 seconds to go. And at the meantime, Drew Zerio is quicker than Eric Mack by nearly just over a 10th and a half in this qualifying session. We've got 15 on the timer. Server will time out very, very shortly. Paul Nye Sr. by 64 thousandths of a second has just secured, I think, his 3rd pole position of the season.
Amazing.
And Paul will be sitting pretty going into this. But we're coming to the dying stages of this qualifying session. Bob Carey in the 280 GTP car has not set a lap time. We are due to have 30 cars taking to the start. And more to the point here, Brad, it's overcast there, as always with Spa, the Ardennes Forest, not too far from Limburg, a little bit further north. We have got a potential for rain in the air here at Spa, and that can always bring up a little bit of a spanner in the works. Here's the starting grid for GTP. for this final race of the season. Drew Zerio and Eric Mack on the front row. Adan Garcia and Zach Nerney round out row 2, with Dwight Hibbs and Ben Bechtel completing the top 7th. Bob Carey, if he gets to the grid, is going to start all the way down in 30th spot. There is the Mustang pace car. And here is your starting grid for GT3. Paul Nye Sr. starts from pole ahead of Martin Merkva. Chris Stewart and Brian Mettler round out the top 2 rows. Jeff Laurinati and Andrew Lau round out row 3. Matt Toppen and Daniel Panaro, who is, I think, leading the way in terms of the GT3AM side of things. He's due to have, Akachia Putzio just behind in 9th. Hunter Hoffman 10th. Nathan Hemperley and Wyatt Kennedy next up on row 6. We go to row 7, Ethan Murphy, and the third and final combatant in the GT3AM title battle, the number 79 of Christopher Ondera. Matt Santosiero and Kai Knebel. Kai having internet troubles a little bit earlier on. They start on row 8 with Andrew Parker and Kyle O'Grady rounding out the top 9 rows. Completing the top 20 in GT3 will be Seth Vosselman and Baron Eckes, with Tyler Steeneck, Colin Bourdon and Magnus McFalls doing a top gear from the rear, as my good friend Henry Baudet would say. But the big thing is that with this, we are not going to do the traditional Grand Prix start, as in start-finish straight coming out of the chicane. It is very much like the CrowdStrike 24 hours. They will be released by the pace car, and then it is down to a 60-mile-an-hour speed limit. They've got to be in 2x2 formation. GTPs will be released first, and then will GT3s, but they will let them go coming out of the source down the hill. That is a very, very difficult subject for these drivers to have to worry about, because you've got to be on your A game here, Brad, as we're getting a very short formation lap here at Le Fagne, going down in towards the next part of the circuit. So it's going to be rather interesting. But GTPs, they're going to have a big old closing rate, 20 plus seconds quicker a lap than the GT3s. This is going to be an epic multi-class season 8 finale for Elbows Out Racing.
I was so excited whenever I was approached by the league and they said, hey, can we have the season finale there on PTRTV? And I said, absolutely you can. And then I remembered that, this is typically an oval channel, and kind of had the question of, well, how do we make this one work? And thankfully, with a lot of elbow grease and a little bit of good luck, we've gotten things in place here. 5-second gap between the GTP and the GT3s here. This is going to be a really, really interesting thing for me to watch and kind of see how it goes through. I am very, very excited here. Just to be perfectly honest with you, Florian, you know as well as I do that I am a big road course guy. I'm a big Spa fan. I'm a big fan of mixed class racing. This race is going to be all about breathing. It's all about endurance, and it's all about just getting to the end where you can. This endurance style start is going to be so fun, and I think that for not the first full lap, but I think that first time at speed running up the hill through El Rouge and Radion, that's going to be the exciting part. We don't go yet. They have to continue to pace.
Parker Chiapuzio not showing on the rolling start here. That is a big disaster for the driver that's currently second in GT3AM, as it is going to be down to the two Ferraris leading the way. Drew Zerio and Eric Mack lead the way ahead of Adan Garcia from Puerto Rico in the number 799 Acura. And then we got Zach Nerney, Dwight Hibbs, Benjamin Bechtel. Rob Carey does not seem to be on the grid as we go down the hill. 60 minutes of racing here in the Ardennes Forest at Spa-Francorchamps to conclude Season 8, Round 11, here at Elbows Out Racing live on Primetime Racing TV. We are green, we are underway, and Drew Zerio straight away medal as they run over the entry curbs into Eau Rouge and Irradiant. Now it's the turn of GT3's. Paul Nye Sr. decides, well, let's go for it, guys. And he's going to be joined by Martin Merkva. And this is where things are going to be very, very interesting. Eric Mack, who won last time out at COTA in GTP, a previous Elbows Out Racing GT3 season champion, let's not forget, has really been trying to do what he can, but he's got to keep himself very much nose clean in this final race, because if he stays where he is in the next, 59 and a quarter minutes, And then when we hit the checkered, if he finishes where he is now, he is wrapped up second in the GTP standings, despite the fact that Drew Zerio locked it in with 1 round to go last time out in the Lone Star State. There is Bob Carey in that wonderful BMW MV8 hybrid making his way through. He's just behind Christopher Ondera, but that is Wyatt Kennedy that's just spun around coming down the hill. And so the DHL liveried Acura NSX GT3 has gone for a turnaround. That is a real shame there. But Bob Carey is going to make mincemeat of this GT3 traffic, but he's got to be very, very careful. And one of the unwritten rules in sports car racing is that the GT3s must hold their line. The GTP will be the faster car trying to go through and make the moves cleanly, and that is exactly what Bob Carey is trying to do. He's got a big, big gap to find. It's probably going to be the best part of 40 seconds before he gets to within the number 28 of Ben Bechtel. But Bob Carey, that's one of the Mustangs around. That is Jeff Laurinaitis in the 97, and he's beached. Now that was one of the McLarens that went firing off. Who on earth was that? That was Ethan Murphy, who had the biggest code brown there, and that was coming out of Kurt Paul Frere.
Goodness me, this lap 1 has gotten away pretty well here. All of the drivers in GT3 have really got it going. GTP, no surprise here, Florian. They've kind of kept things in a line, but as we go down the Kimmel Straight, look at Drew Zerio, Eric Mack. They're going to look for a move. Side by side they go, and where they stop, well, they're going to go back in line where they were here, so they keep the moves going. I knew GT3 was going to get pretty wild on the race start, but I didn't know how wild, and it looks like a few different drivers have already had issues. A couple drivers in GT3 already towing to pits right as we got going, and really Bob Carey is the one that I'm going to be keeping my eyes on. Bob Carey has now gotten past Paul Nye Sr. and is all on his lonesome there with a 15-second gap up to Benjamin Bechtel, and we'll just need to continue to kind of push that forward. But lap 1 underway, 57 minutes left to go here, and we got a motor race on our hands.
We have got a motor race on our hands. Very well put there, Brad, because also GT3AM Ondera is now leading the class a couple of places ahead of Daniel Pinaro. So the number 79 Porsche leading is now 10th in class. He's ahead of Santosiero, with Pinaro not too far behind in the McLaren. And Chiapuzio is 16th in class, he's all the way down in 23rd in overall. 30 cars started this race. And, Ball of Squad Racing saying we're all BSR Magnus McFalls fans tonight. Good luck, mate. Brendan Shea saying, what was that move on Ethan Murphy? Why would you pull forward? Yeah, you meant to hold your brakes in that kind of situation, Brendan. I would completely agree with that. But obviously, we don't make the decisions. We are in the booth, and it's down to whatever happens post-race at the moment. But Drew Zerio, new fastest lap of the race, 1:59.929. We were running in the 1:56.7s with the 860 Ferrari 499P in qualifying, and the gap between them was just over a tenth, 1.6 tenths of a second. But Eric Mack is really putting the frighteners onto Drew Zerio. The title might have been wrapped up, but the battle is still continuing.
That it is. Let's hop on board here with Eric Mack. Look at this, 190 miles an hour, almost into the braking zone. Going side by side there. They're going to tap side by side, and Eric Mack will get his way forward. We'll get a replay of that here in just a moment, because I'm not going to tell you that that wasn't without a little bit of a hit and a bump and run there. But Drew Zerio now down in second. Looks like possibly carrying a little bit of left side damage on that GTP, and possibly looking at taking that Ferrari even further down the order into third. Just having to run things through here nice and early up front and go through. Chris Stewart has gotten past Paul Nye Sr. for the lead in GT3 as they go through. And what do you say we take a look at some of these lap 1 moments here and see what we can catch, what we can find, and how things went. I think we're going to start out really quick with jumping back. The replay I really want to see here is Colin Borden got a big moment there that we missed up at the top of the hill, and that's a car flying.
That is definitely a car that looked very, very second-hand. That's one of the Cadillacs that went off, but here's the incident. Now McLaren gets the tag into the barriers, bang, and cannibals over to the other side. That is a big, big hit. If anyone might remember Jack Aitken's massive moment, and he was collected by multiple cars. It's not quite a carbon copy, but still a significant incident. Not too sure which car that was. It might have been Kai Knivel in the 513, who is still in pit lane, I understand. Zach Nerney now sets the new fastest lap in the GTPs. Oh, there's another big old incident there, and still the GT3s have been swapping paint. They've been rubbing more than Arca trucks, if I'm completely honest with you here. And there is Jeff Laurinaitis going around. That was coming out of Stavlaw, and then you then see that big moment
Ethan Murphy,
and that is the Martini liveried McLaren, or the Martini tribute band, if you will. That took a hard hit on the front end, nearly wrecked him. But Ethan Murphy, Colin Bourdon, Kyle O'Grady. I think Kyle was actually the one in the McLaren, if I remember correctly, the number 8. Well, this is coming out of Licom. Of all the places, you end up having possibly a slowdown penalty. Kyle just keeps out of the way of all the other quicker GT3 traffic trying to go through him. Keeping an eye on, at the moment, Christopher Ondera now is 7.5 tenths ahead of Daniel Panaro, who coming into this round of the championship is leading by 9 points from Parker who's down in 22nd overall. And yeah, Xander Schubert says they are crushing Murphy. Xander, I completely side with you on that sentiment 100%. Ethan Murphy has been in the wars. Kyle O'Grady is back in pit lane, I believe. Kai Knebel is the 513 that might have been that McLaren that was going skyward when it pinballed off the pit lane entry. Kai Knebel has been in the pits for nearly 7 minutes on his marks, and Carl O'Grady is making his way now in his marks in the pit lane. They are using the traditional endurance pit lane. Speed limit 45 miles an hour. You go 1.1 over it, you will get a slam dunk drive through. Also, interesting bit to note, folks, that with the GTPs, you can deploy the power unit maximum 4 times per lap. Once that limit has been reached, the system will stay in the previous mode used when you can go on to another lap. So if you're in high deployment, it will stay in high deployment. But the good thing is with GTPs, you can massage that deployment to how you see fit, depending on where you are on. You might want to go for a really, really high deployment going down the Camel Straight, and then in certain other places, like maybe say going to Blanchimont, you might want to turn that down a little bit, maybe turn it down from volume 11 to say volume 6.
Yeah, it's going to be real interesting to kind of see, especially through this race out, Florian, how
Don't worry, my nickname's Al, by the way, folks. It's like sometimes people call me Florian, sometimes they accidentally call me Al. I don't know why. It happens.
We've known each other way too long at this point. Calling you Florian is something that, I get used to eventually, but the nicknames just kind of stick every once in a while. But it's going to be real interesting to see how that sort of management of the energy and GTPs and how the fuel management really comes in, honestly, for these GTP, GT3 drivers. I'm really excited to see how they keep it together here and how they really keep this battle going. We're currently watching the battle for second position at the moment here with Drew Zerio and Zach Nunnery. These two are really kind of keeping things pretty feisty, if I have to say so myself.
Yeah, Stevie Warrior 3 says, will there be repercussions for certain actions against Ethan Murphy? Your guess is as good as mine. We don't know, but now we are now having that battleground of back market traffic as Drew Zerio versus Zach Nerney for P2 in the overall running of things, and also in the GTP class. Eric Mack is now stretching an advantage of just over 1.8 seconds. You can see that sometimes when you're trying to position the car, especially when it comes to GTPs, they're a lot more aero dependent, whereas the GT3 cars are more production based. With the roll cage, lighter components, no sound deadening, no carpet, no AC, no Apple CarPlay, and all these modern cons that we have in these modern vehicles nowadays. So effectively a stripped out, ready to race car. But yeah, Eric Mack has started to pull away slightly, but he's now getting stuck behind back market traffic. There was one of the Mustangs who's just passed going down through Malmedy and now into Rivage, and Yeah, Zach Nerney is keeping Drew Zerio very, very honest at the moment. You know, he's not letting him get away. And Adan Garcia in the 799 Acura is also could very shortly be making it not just two's company, but three's a crowd here, Brad, because this back market traffic, we're now within 11 minutes of having gone green, and I was really, really wondering how long it would take for the GTPs to start catching and passing. But there has been a change in GT3AM with regards to the title battle. Christopher Ondera has got past Daniel Panaro for the class, for 9th in class. And more importantly, that could be what he needs. Ondera actually needs to beat Chiapuzio by 2 to 3 positions to change the order, but both essentially need Panaro to have a DNF to take the AM Championship. So at the moment, Daniel Panaro has got back through on Christopher Ondera. So this is going to be very, very crucial, as that is a car into the barriers. Wyatt Kennedy, wasn't it?
That was Wyatt Kennedy. Here is Daniel Panaro in the McLaren. This is through the bus stop, getting side by side with that number 79 Porsche. Bit of a tap, bit of a wiggle, loses 2 positions in the space of 1. Thankfully, it looks like no harm, no foul there for Panaro. Wyatt Kennedy having to tow back to pits, losing out there. We go live. Look at this GTP and GT3. That is Ondera in the Porsche with, I believe that is actually Zach Nunnery, that it was just flying past, getting onto the Kimmel Straight. That is aggressive driving, trying to get things through here. This race won't be the same for the next 47 minutes here, Florian, because the thing is, once you hit that point where the classes start mixing, nothing ever becomes the same, and this is a battle for the lead in GT3.
Yeah, so this is Chris Stewart versus Martin Merckfeld. So McLaren versus Ferrari. And Chris Stewart is hanging on at the meantime. Merckfeld's giving us something to think about in the Castrol liveried McLaren. And then it's a further 2.4 seconds back to Brian Mettler in the number 46. Same number that Valentino Rossi currently runs with. And there you see the number 46 Acura in the background very, very briefly. Right on board with Merckfeld in the McLaren. The gap is 4/10 of a second. Stewart was 17 thousandths quicker in sec to number 1. More to the point, Brian Mettler is catching. He's just done a 1:02.967 in the opening sector. 7/10 quick, 6/10 quick in front. So he is catching at a big old rate of knots. He wasn't quicker than the 2 in the opening sector, so that Acura's got it really hooked up in the second longer section. The sector of 4.35 mile circuit. And yeah, I mean, it's Ferrari versus McLaren. It is a really, really good battle. Brian Mettler now crosses the line, goes quicker than the 2 in front. The gap is now down to 2.2 seconds, 2.3, but there is the GTP overall lead. Eric Mack being closed in by Drew Zerio. The gap now was at 1.7 seconds. It's now down to less than 7/10. As through Eau Rouge et Radiant they go. It's nearly 3 wide or GT3. That was Merckler being squeezed a little bit. You had Zerio to the inside, Nerney to the outside. And there is Chris Stewart. He is just ahead of Merckler as they go through into Lecom. The top 3, line astern, covered by, get this, just under 7/10 of a second. Magnus McFalls in the number 991 Porsche has decided to pit from 25th overall, 18th in GT3 combined. But more to the point, the thing is that Panaro is doing exactly what he needs to do. He's battling with Ondera for P10 in class, and more to the point, that's 17th overall. But Eric Mack starting to stretch away. Maybe he's deciding to use his deployment at certain other points that Zerio and Nerney have not yet considered.
Yeah, whatever he's doing here, it's working very, very well for Mack to get ahead of Zerio. We know Zerio's fast. We know Nerney's fast as well. So these drivers making things work here in this top 3 for GTP. And I have a feeling that they're not going to let things go here all the way through. Of course, iRacing is about to redo the GTP cars and release a massive update here with week 13 coming out. So we're going to see some changes in GTP. I'm curious to see how the drivers handle that through and what they do. Race leads are still not decided here. Chris Stewart, Martin Merkfa still battling it out, half a second for the lead in GT3 overall. And then, of course, we saw Mac, Zario, Nunnery, Nerney, they are not done. And it looks like Mac has found a little bit of pace, is going to have a little bit of traffic to help, which I think will give a little bit more breathing room as we go on board here. And let's see where this runs here. I just want to ride on board with Eric Mack up the hill. Florian, I would love to do this in real life just one time.
I think I'd probably have the bejesus shaken out of me if I did that at 170 miles an hour in a GTP car. Of course, this circuit also hosts the 6 Hours of Spa-Francorchamps for the FIA World Endurance Championship. Zach Nerney down the gearbox from 6th to 3rd, scrubs off nearly 100 miles an hour. That is impressive when you look at how built for racing these GTP cars are. I'm really, really glad that we have now got the 499P on iRacing. Of course, there's been, through recent updates, a tyre update, and obviously then with the GTPs being repurposed, we do also have a sole Porsche 963 hybrid, which is always a wonderful, wonderful car to see. And I think that is, just seeing who that is. That is, I'm wondering who's in the.
That's Dwight Hibbs in the number 4.
Number 4. Thank you very much for that. Dwight Hibbs, up until this point, was running in the Cadillac. So we did have Perodotto in the Porsche, who hasn't gotten off the board this season, unfortunately. But the good thing is that Eric Mack is doing exactly what he needs to stay ahead of Adam Garcia. Also,
he's down into 3rd now. How did Matt get down into 3rd?
Must have had a slow down penalty then, possibly, or he's at an off track.
Let's see what I can find here.
Yeah. Oh, he lost a big amount of time in Sector 2, Brad. He lost the best part of just over 5 seconds. 5 seconds.
And that's how.
Oi! Oh, that was coming through Pouon, so he's over-rotated. One of the things about Pouon is that, you can in these GTPs, you can carry it through at about 5th gear, 140, 145, but maybe the aero wash with Murphy ahead of him caused him that slight aero imbalance. The back end started to step out, get a little bit loose, and then round she went.
He's very, very lucky that did not turn out worse, and that was just a pretty good save. This is Seth Vosselman, who did something similar. I do think that's a bit of aero wash, just sending the car around. Why not drift around this track? I don't know why you wouldn't. I mean, it just works out so well here, but 20 minutes in, I still don't think this race is decided. I still think Eric Mack will be able to catch back up here pretty quick and get things going and forward. I don't have any sort of worries about that here as we go through and we continue to watch these drivers run. I mean, they are absolutely pushing these cars to the limits, and I have to make the pun. Florian. The elbows are indeed out here today.
Especially in GT3 Pro and AM. Elbows out, and the standing knives on the edge of said elbows are sharpened, folks. So great to see. We've had the best part of just over 20 people watching the stream here on Prime Time Racing TV. So please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, folks. And you never know, we could be talking about you if you're an avid sim racer, be it road courses, be it ovals. We love to entertain when it comes to coverage of events on iRacing, but this has really been a very, very good litmus test for all our drivers. COTA, a very, very fast circuit, elevation changes, but not to the degree of severity that we have here at Spa. Jeff Laurinaitis is in pit lane, I believe, in the 97 Mustang. Kai Knebel, who was in the Mr. Blobby, very bright pink McLaren that went pinballing and cannonballing over the pit lane exit, and then ended up flying through the air with the greatest of ease. It was like Belgian air traffic control from Zandvoort Airport has said, Kai Knebel, you are cleared for takeoff. And that's exactly what happened. A real shame, but Kai has I think suffered terminal damage to the McLaren 720S, so the 513 will not take any further part in this race. Now, the thing is, the pit stop windows are going to be very, very crucial for getting that undercut or the overcut, depending on what 3000 IQ strat you want to run. And more to the point, Paul Nye Sr., who started on pole position, very much the Tanner Faust tribute livery band back from his days when he used to be an ambassador for Rockstar, especially when he was doing American Rallycross. Love that livery. It looks so cool on that McLaren, doesn't it?
It really, really does. I always like what drivers come up with whenever they run GT3s. Everyone tends to find that, you know, that livery, that paint scheme that really, really has their personality and sets it out. And I do think for Paul Nye, he's picked a really good one here. One of the things I'm looking at here, Florian, as I'm watching through, is I've been looking at the stint times and the amount of laps on the stint. And I pulled that up there on the right-hand side of the screen. Everybody's at 10 or 11 laps. I don't know for sure that we're expecting pit stops as they go through. I would think that everybody might have to do just a little bit of fuel here and there, but we'll see where they decide to land things out as the season goes, or as this race goes, not as the season goes, but as the race goes. The season's done and dusted at this point.
It is pretty much. Of course, there is that threat of overhanging rain in the air, but then also the drivers do have to do a pit stop. They've got to take 4 brand new tyres on the car. So that is going to be part and parcel of the race. Now, Parker-Chiapuzio, one of the 3 drivers in contention for GT3AM title glory here in Season 8, has actually done a pit stop on lap 9. Now, Daniel Panaro has dropped a position, so as soon as you put fresh new tyres on the car, you've got to get them up to temperature, scrub through that initial layer of bitumen, get the tyres up to temp, get the pressures up, get the brakes up to temperature. And anyone might remember the Truth in 24 Le Mans movies that categorically went hand in hand with Audi Sport, and when you had the pair of Trullier, Fessler and Lotterer being the sole Audi after the other 2 cars had massive incidents, one of which was Mike Rockenfeller in the middle of the night, the other one was Alec Manish within the first hour and a half whilst trying to take the lead off of Timo Bernhard through the Dunlop corners. Tom Christensen was still there backing up the 3rd and sole surviving car and said, okay, if you're coming in for a puncture, well, you need all 4 tyres, you need all your weapons sharp, and that is going to be completely blunt here, Brad. The best way, if you can get those tyres on and you can pick up that pace. Well, right, what have you spotted?
There was just a big off there on the screen involving Hunter Hoffman. Very, very quick. Let's look. This is Nathan Hemperly, Hunter Hoffman. This is coming down the straight here. I have a feeling that this is a pass going wrong. The 12 wiggles. Oh,
that was Nathan Hemperly, and then straight away, well, Hunter Hoffman also gets caught up as an unwilling participant. But in the meantime, Daniel Panaro has retaken his place ahead of Christopher Ondera, and that's a lot of speed. That's 140 plus miles an hour. I think, to be honest with you, Hunter Hoffman got away with glancing damage. Nathan Hemperly, however, it was a different story for the 911 Porsche, the number 12. Meantime, this is Brian Messler closing in on Chris Stewart. Martin Merkver has got the race lead in GT3 combined. But Parker-Chiapuzio is now putting in, his last lap was a 2:20.6. His best lap, the lap before, was a 2:19.449. So even with the air temp 66 degrees Fahrenheit, track temp 80 degrees Fahrenheit, so 19 degrees air, 27 degrees Celsius track temp. We're now on lap 13. Drew Zerio now has a lead of 2.2 seconds over Zach Nerney. Adam Garcia in P3. Eric Mack now 14.6 seconds off of the overall lead in P4. Dwight Hibbs, Benjamin Bechdel and Bob Carey all running within effectively nearly half a lap between the 7 drivers. The GT3s, however, are 2 laps down when it comes to Martin Merkver and the number 32 Castrol McLaren, Chris Stewart and Brian Metteler. That's 3 different manufacturers in the top 3. So McLaren leads, Ferrari leads, Acura. Paul Nicenia started on pole in the class, running in P4 at the moment, ahead of the 917 of Andrew Lau. It is going to be interesting to see who is going to pit first. Bob Carey, I think, has just been indicated on our live timing that he's ended up in the pit lane in the BMW. That's the... Oh, now that is the Corvette that's...
Vasselman that just had a big old off there.
Yep, so Seth Vosselman, that's not been a good one there for the 143 Chevy Corvette Z06. This is getting really, really feisty and lovely to see 3 different manufacturers in the top 3 when it comes to GT3 overall. Now, Parker Chiapuzio is now lead. Right, what has happened to Daniel Pinaro in the meantime in GT3AM? He has dropped like... Oh, he's gone into the pits. So he's done his first pit stop, it looks like. So he's going to be going down the endurance side of it. Kai Knebel's car has now pinged in and pinged out of pit lane. But, well... Osselman's been in the pits for over 40 plus seconds.
Hasn't even made it to the box yet. He just stopped in the box.
Well, it is a lengthy pit stop here at Spa-Francorchamps, and they are at 45 miles an hour. That's just over 70 kph, so Pinaro is on his marks. So probably give or take around about 30 seconds or so to change all 4 tyres. As long as that's gone up on... They've got to change all 4. They cannot do otherwise. Otherwise, the car will be excluded from the results post-race. It is a part and parcel of this 60-minute race. And you and I both know, Brad, that with this race here, that's a pretty quick pit stop. 24.5 seconds there for Daniel Pinaro. So now he'll have 4 brand new tyres on that twin-turbo 4-litre V8 from Woking in the McLaren 720S GT3. He can now start hunting Chiapuzio, who is now up into 15th, 8th in class, GT3 combined. We're for folks wondering why are we not differentiating between the classes on this, let's just say there's been a lot of work behind the scenes here at Primetime Racing TV to get this broadcast, like we do with every single broadcast here, to get everything going. Chris Stewart is now in pit road in the 515 Ferrari 296 GT3. He's yet to go on his mark, so he's probably going to have to go around the corner as well. I would imagine that the GTPs will be at the normal traditional Grand Prix side of it. And then the GT3s, I mean, when you, what was it? The Spa-Francorchamps race, 24 hours, had over 60 cars in 2 years ago. And one of my friends who was there, he basically said, Flo, you'll never guess what. He said, you could not swing a black cat in one of the garages. Like, literally, you have got 2-car teams on the lower side of the pit lane. And you're now going to see, this is Zach Nerney pitting from P3 in GTP. So everyone is having to go into the endurance pits, which is, you got to go through La Source, you then got to go down the hill, you got to keep it at just under 45 miles an hour, or bang on 45, otherwise you get that... the walk of shame, which is the drive-through penalty you get for speeding.
This is such a long time too in the box.
Oh, no.
I can't emphasize that enough.
Ondera is now in pit road. So Chiapuzio, actually his pit time last time round was only 5.5 seconds. So that says to me that was not a possible tyre change, because it takes about 24 to 25 or 25 to 30 seconds to change a full set of tyres at maximum in the pit lane here on iRacing. So I would expect probably about the same for Christopher Ondera, who is getting closer and closer to that. Christopher Ondera, 22.4 I've just seen on his pit stop. That is quick. Hunter Hoffman, 21.8. Magnus McFalls, 21.2 to change all 4 tyres. That was a rapid pit stop there for the 052 Acura NSX. So Chiapuzio, I think, still might need to change all 4 tyres on that car.
It's going to be unfortunate too, because that is going to just absolutely decimate the race and not planned at all, I'm sure. Zachary Nerney here has pit. Bob Carey has pit. We are still looking for the top 5 in GTP to pit. We're still looking for the top 6 in GT3 to pit. And I do want to tag onto your comment there, Florian, about the work behind the scenes to get this going. Is Ben Bechtel's in, along with, it looks like Parker Chiapuzio is in, and Kyle O'Grady is in. I do want to kind of tag on your comment. If you've been a fan of PTRTV for longer than about 0.2 seconds, you will know that technical issues tend to happen around here every once in a while. So knock on wood, knock on glass, knock on everything I can. Oh, that was almost a little bit too wide there, Bechtel. That was almost a bit too wide. Knock on everything I can. This has went off pretty well, all things considered, for what could have happened here. So fingers crossed it keeps that way for the next 28 minutes. I think we'll be okay, but I do appreciate everyone tuning in.
Yes, indeed. Thank you very much to all the folks that have interacted with us on the PTRTV YouTube channel. So let's give you, with 28.5 minutes to go until the checkered, your top 5 rundown in GTP and GT3, and also give you an update on GT3AM with regards to the top 3 battling for the title. Drew Zirio, the man who has secured GTP title glory here in Season 8, leads by just over 18.3 seconds. Of this man here, the 799 from Puerto Rico, Adam Garcia. Eric Mack, who did at one point lead the race, is now currently running a further 16 seconds behind, down in P3. Dwight Hibbs in the Soul Porsche 963 Hybrid, the number 4, very, very multicoloured. Reminds me of one of the Le Mans liveries that Porsche actually ran one year in the World Endurance Championship at the Circuit 24 Hours de Le Mans. Zach Nerney in 5th place, the number 31. According to our leaderboards, showing that he is representing the yellow and blue of Sweden, of course. That's your top 5 in GTPs. Martin Merkva in the number 32 McLaren leads the way in GT3 overall, followed by the number 46 Brian Metzler, who's just come into shot just behind us as they're both making their way down the hill into Eau Rouge et Radiant. Metzler is about 2.9 seconds off. Then the man who has secured already with 1 round to spare the GT3 Pro title, Paul Nye Sr., one of the admins behind the league. He's being passed around the outside onto Kemmel Straits by Eric Mack. Andrew Lau is currently running 4th in the number 917 Acura. And then Tyler Steeneck, who's one of the drivers that was given the end-of-line penalty for finishing on the rostrum, finishing P2 last time out of the Rota. And that wonderful 5.4 litre naturally aspirated V8 Ford Performance engine. We've got a bit of Roush influence on that as well. Currently now P5. He started all the way down in around 28th or 29th position when we went green, just over the best part of 33 minutes, 33 and a half minutes ago. But then we look at the battle for GT3AM glory, and at the moment the number 48, currently running 10th in class, 17th overall, there is Daniel Panaro in the number 48 McLaren 720S GT3. Next up in that 3-way scrap, Panaro's just dropped it badly. Commentators circumstance there, I'm afraid. I was just talking about him and he just makes a bit of a faux pas. There's no thing as a commentator's curse, folks. We just talk about drivers, and sometimes if they make a mistake, it's on their own head. That's all I'm saying on that one. Christopher Ondera is a couple of cars behind, so Hunter Hoffman, and there is Ondera. So that spin by Panaro has just cost him big time. That's cost him 3.7 seconds. Just that mistake alone. And then, just had a notification from Ethan Murphy, the number 26, who said PC crashed twice. Literally never happened on iRacing before. Happy season finale. Oh, that's a real shame. Well, Ethan was actually being assaulted from all sides, a bit like a pit manoeuvre when Buford T. Justice is trying to chase down Smokey and the Bandit, for instance. But yeah, real shame for Ethan there. Jeff Laurinaitis, we've lost. Seth Vosselman is still in the pits after 9 minutes and 15 seconds. Carlo Grady has been in the pits for nearly 4 minutes. So and Kai Knibble, after 28 minutes and 20 seconds, the pink 513 McLaren is back out on track after pinballing on lap 1 down through Kemmel Straight. That car is now back to 100% working order, and you know, that's what I like about some people, that they just don't give up, do they?
You can't. That's the thing with any sort of endurance racing. Even though this is just a 60-minute race, it's still an endurance race, and you have to sort of keep that run. We see the last pit stop time here, 28 minutes, as you said, Florian, down in pit lane. But hey, you got to represent, you got to get out there, you got to make the sponsors happy, and you got to just have fun. I mean, that's the thing is, we're all here to have fun as it stands.
Yep.
That's the big thing for me about endurance racing. And when I was looking, at Elbows Out, it was all of the fun is really what I was looking at. So I was really excited to kind of see things. Everyone's having fun. Chris Stewart has moved up into 5th place in class there. That front end looks a little beat up though on Chris Stewart. I don't know if I've missed something with that or not.
Possibly a little bit of a tangle maybe with Martin Merkver earlier on. They were battling tooth and nail over the overall GT3 lead. Andrew Lau has pitted. He's one of the quickest. Well, he was second quick when it came to pit stops, 21.5 seconds for the Acura NSX GT3. He rejoins 13th overall, 6th in combined when you look at GT3 Pro and AM. So Ondera is now a second behind Panaro. Chiapuzio down in 13th in class and 20th overall. And Chiapuzio is about 6.7 seconds behind Ondera. And we're riding on board with the number 79 Porsche, 160 miles an hour. So nearly a 30-mile-an-hour differential between GT3 and GTP, straight line performance down the Kemmel Straight. Once you get into that tow, you're going to gain probably anywhere between an extra 5 to 8 miles an hour down the straight, depending on what car you've got in front of you. As GTP, well, there might be a little bit more of a bigger aero wash at the moment. Now, Martin Merkver and Brian Metzler look to have come into pit lane, I believe, here, Brad, as they've just come in on lap number 17. So they've yet to... Well, Martin Merkver has now hit his mark. So Paul Nye Sr. on lap 17 for the GT3s retakes the overall class lead, with Tyler Steeneck now running a genuine P2. He has been like a silent ninja assassin as the number 33 from the back end of the field, and now is running second in class. He is just needing to finish 7th or higher to lock in P2 in the GT3 Pro classification. He's yet to do a pit stop, so it looks like Paul Nye Sr. and Tyler Steeneck are going for the long strategy call here. We've got just over 12.5 minutes to go. I think it's going to be get those tyres on, get a little bit of splash of fuel in there. They'll be able to put a good amount of litres in whilst the car's having the tyres changed, but that might compromise them on their pit stop.
Yeah, I think one of the things that is really good as a driver is when you have Tyler Steeneck in the position of, we haven't talked about him, and if you're Tyler Steeneck, that's probably going to be the best thing you've heard all day, is that the commentators haven't said your name a bunch. Whenever you're kind of running under the radar, you're either having a super good race or a super bad race. But that Mustang has been in an amazing position. Again, one of the drivers that took an end-of-line penalty at the race start because of the results in COTA, but Tyler Steeneck, time after time, has persevered here. If we look at the overall season results just week after week, and we pull this up, Steeneck has not had a bad run at all. A handful of podiums. Worst result was in round 9, 18th place in round 9. And I mean, if you consider that, and every other position has been podium other than 1/4 place, you really can't be mad at it to be here in the position you're in. Into second place is the into the pits goes our second place driver, Tyler Steeneck. You can tell that it is past my bedtime for the evening, which is perfectly fine, all things considered. But I'm really liking this battle.
Don't get me started. Don't get me started.
I know.
Where I am at the moment, it's I'm a few hours ahead, let's say, folks. But this is getting a bit dicey there. That was that was one of the caddies
was the
trying to get
28.
through. Yeah, that was Ben Bechtel in the Caddy V Series, V Series car. And that's a lovely vehicle as well. You know, we talked about 5.4 litre naturally aspirated Mustang power. Then you go Cadillac 5.5 V8 flat plane crank that just absolutely is the epitome of GTP exhaust ASMR.
It is. It's so nice. All I can say is it's so nice. And I'll tell you, you know, I went to the Rolex 24 last year, and one of the best things is that you can tell when the Cadillac is coming by. People talked about that with Le Mans, with the Project 48 car and the NASCAR that ran at Le Mans. You can tell when the Cadillac comes by compared to a Porsche, an Acura, a BMW, a Ferrari. The Cadillac just has a raw, guttural, I hate to say it, but American sound about it that just rips past you. And it is so nice sitting in the grandstands at midnight and sitting there just sort of enjoying the race. Things are just nice and quiet. Cars are running, and you start to doze off, and then that Cadillac just rips by and it wakes you right back up. I understand what people meant when they talked about the garage NASCAR at Le Mans waking everyone up every lap. It did the same thing at Daytona. It's an amazing GTP, and I love that they've taken that different approach on it.
Yeah, very much the case. We are getting into the line 18, and it's my senior lap 19 has now pitted, and more point, he's making his way down into the endurance pit lane, and this is quite crucial for him.
It is. He's got to nail this here. No errors in this pit stop can be found for Paul Nye as we go through. And I do think that Paul Nye might be in a position for the win here as we look. I've been looking. Well, it won't be for the win because of the gap, but it will be at least for a podium. I do believe, doing quick mental maths as I look at the leaderboard and as we watch that gap come through. There is Martin Merkfa. Let's get eyes on Martin Merkfa as Martin Merkfa is now coming down the main straight. You'll see Nye there on the left hand side. Watch the pit timer there on the top, now moving out of the box, but for Nye, it is going to be just a little too short. There goes Merkfa through. There is going to be Matero through, almost ahead of Chris Stewart, but just behind.
That was squeaky bum time there, folks. My senior Chris Stewart and Chris was coming through full throttle, fifth gear, sixth gear, Totsky's traction down. Through it's complex, which is why I say that's how the Belgians actually. Some good friends of mine, they said whenever you've commentated on Spa, Florian, you just had that problem where you've got I use because it's one will emerge into another. So from that perspective, you can just see that it is one flowing past this circuit. You cannot get wrong. And if you do get wrong, I mean, well, the Cadillac team last year on the Endurance Championship found out firsthand when you get it across and loose and the car is spinning around, especially when that Cadillac, the VR going through into Eau Rouge, going up the hill, and then it hit the bump, and then all of a sudden car spun around, side impacts into the barriers, and the car was a complete wreck. It was a complete mess. But there's still an opportunity here for Paul Nye Senior to close in on Chris Stewart for P3. So black flag for Hunter Hoffman. Oh dearie me, that is a big problem for Hunter Hoffman. Whether that's having exceeded, because it's 17 incident points, and then you get another penalty 10 after.
Yeah, I have a feeling that Hunter Hoffman hit the track limit number here and has unfortunately just gonna have to serve the drive-through, and that drive-through is going to cost 45 seconds at least, which is going to put Hunter Hoffman very well on the back foot here. We'll probably put him in P18 as it stands. Florian, this has been a fun race so far. We're 3/4 of the way through. What are the battles you're really keeping your eyes on right now? GT3, I don't think anything's settled between Pro and AM. GTP, things are a little spread out. Pit stops have cycled through now. Drew Zario is in the lead over Zachary Nerney by about 14 seconds, but I do think that's going to close a little bit. Let's actually check out the just lap times. Let's look at the last lap and see who is where on what. And I mean, that's a considerable pace difference.
Well, I'm looking at the GT3AM title battle. Daniel Panaro is currently leading that battle. He's in 9th, 16th overall. Baron Neckes is coming to the pit lane. So Panaro is about 2.1 seconds ahead of Christopher Ondera. Parker Chiapuzio now down in 19th overall, 12th in GT3 combined. Has got Magnus McFalls in front of him. Chiapuzio is about a second back. Panaro is now through. Ondera is now through on Neckes. So Chiapuzio now finds himself in 11th in class, so behind Magnus McFalls, but he's closing in on him. Magnus McFalls last time round did a 2-minute 20.5. Chiapuzio 7/10 quicker and closing. So at the moment, Parker Chiapuzio, who pitted last, now his last pit stop time cost him a big chunk of time in comparison with the opposition. He was nearly twice as long in pit lane, 41.465 for the number 25. Now the big problem is that Ondera needs to be 2 to 3 positions ahead of Chiapuzio. So if Chiapuzio was behind McFalls and also Santosiero and Parker, then Ondera would then move up to 2nd in GT3AM. But in this moment in time, Chiapuzio is doing enough to hold on to 2nd, but Daniel Panaro, who qualified, let's not forget, lower than Ondera and Chiapuzio in the 10-minute qualifying session, which meant you could probably in a GT3 get around in about 3 to 4 laps in qualifying. GTPs, you could probably do 5 at best, but it's just with the, you're looking at the best lap time in a GT3, Paul Nye Senior, 2:17.972, which is actually his fastest lap of the race on lap number 21. He's just literally blitzing everyone, and now he's got past Chris Stewart for P3, so Paul Nye Senior, and that was through at Les Combes. So he got the drag, got the tow, side draft. Was very, very lucky going into Les Combes and into Malmedy. So now he's got an opportunity. Now look at this for a little bit of a possible grandstand finale here for this final round of the Elbows Out Racing Multiclass for Season 8. Paul Nye Senior is only 3.2 seconds off of Martin Merkva. So we are coming down to the last 11 minutes and 20 seconds of this race. Drew Zario is away and clear, to be honest with you. He's 15 seconds up the road from Zach Nerney, but Merkva, Metala and Nye Senior are very, very close together. Any one of these drivers makes a wrong move, it could be curtains for the W here tonight.
I think this is going to be really interesting to watch how it goes through down to the end in this top battle for GT3. This battle for first, really, I've got it highlighted for 3 cars. Really, I need to highlight the top 4 because the top 4 are all in a position to possibly have this grandstand rundown and really, really see where things go. It's going to be close. It's going to be interesting. And whoever can really dig deepest and find that extra pace, I think is going to be the one who comes out ahead here as they go. Again, I've been watching GTP still up in the front. Dwight Hibbs here in 5th place does have a possibility for P4 to come through and around. Is about 3 seconds off of Eric Mack there in 4th place. But you can see that is the gap of 3 seconds just off the bottom of the shot there. It's not that far, and has had some pretty good pace. Eric Mack only a couple tenths slower, but a couple tenths can add up here, especially if Dwight Hibbs can find a little bit more pace. Could push that through to the end. Drew Zario put in a 1:59.7 last lap, is opening the gap to Nerney in second place. So GTP isn't completely settled out either, but it really is that battle for GT3, that 4-car battle for first that we need to keep our eyes on through the end.
Yeah, so you're looking at a combined total of probably about that's going to be about 3.5 seconds splitting that top 4. And that's what you want. You want to get things close down to the wire, as the GT3s are now on lap 22, GTP's now on lap 25, and well, Drew Zerio now puts out 1.8 seconds quicker, but he's just had a moment in sector number 2. He's dropped a big amount of time, 3.6 seconds to Zach Nerney. And,
lap traffic.
Well, yeah, it's lap traffic that's causing the problem. He's just gone across the line, 2:02.927. We're going to wait for Zach Nerney, who's just about to come through and complete the final sector. Now, who was that? That was Santasiero. So there's Zerio coming down the hill.
Get a quick replay.
Yeah, Zach Nerney's. Yeah, so here we go. This is not going to be what he needs right about now. Oh, goes completely off track into the kitty litter, through the gravel, onto the grass. Not too sure if there might have been an issue. Could have been something technically related, because that car's not turning. He's stopped the car. He's hit the tow button. He's hit the escape, and so that is a real shame there. If he was closer to the start-finish line, it would have been a shorter tow to the pit lane. We are down to the final 8 minutes of this race, and look at so Merckford's now got a lead of 1.9 seconds, and because of the fact that Dwight Hibbs has managed to put the cat amongst the proverbial GT3 pigeons right now between Metzler, Nye Senior and Stewart, Merckford is starting to pull away in the 720S McLaren. Nye Senior trying to close in on Metzler, who are riding on board with the rear camera down the Emil Straight, 155 miles an hour. 7,300 RPM just being breached, and they're at full throttle for the majority of this lap. About 65 to 70% of this 4.35 mile 20 turn circuit has evolved over the years into the current configuration, and now Brian Metzler has got a fire breathing Paul Nye Senior right behind him. So it's Acura versus McLaren versus Ferrari for the final 2 steps on the rostrum, but Martin Merckford looking to pull away and get himself into victory lane here in the Multiclass Season 8 finale, here live on Primetime Racing TV for Elbows Out Racing. Great to have them with us on our broadcast schedule this month, in the month of March. There's been a lot of racing in Daytona, which is actually continue with some more coverage we've got coming up, so don't forget to like, share and subscribe, hit that notification bell, because it will tell you every time a new race goes live here on the channel. But yeah, this is, I think now Merckford, with 6 minutes and 20 to go, he's making less mistakes, and he's slower in the first sector, but it's sector 2 that McLaren really comes alive. He just put in a high 1:02.8. Metzler a low 1:03.0. Paul Nye Senior also in McLaren, a low 1:03.2 in sector 2. Chris Stewart 1:03.0. Eric Mack, new fastest lap of the race on lap number 27. Look at that for a flyer for the number 19 Ferrari, 1:58.655. The man that started on the outside of the front row just over 54 minutes ago. It's
insane to think that 54 minutes ago was just absolutely back and gone on. It's crazy to me how this race has evolved in an hour. That's the words I'm trying to say, and really get out there. In an hour, this race has went completely upside down and sideways, but it's so amazing to watch these drivers go through. It's been so great to have Elbows out here. 5 minutes left to go in this race, and again, nothing's really decided. Any small moment could happen and really mix things up as we continue to watch these 3 battle in GT3 and see how they finish things up, because it's gonna be a nail biter. And then don't forget Ondera and Chiapuzio back here in the back as well. These 2 are not done. The Faf livery, Chiapuzio in that number 25. Faf, of course, have went from McLaren to Lamborghini, which I do understand, but I do also love the McLaren, I'm not going to lie. So as they go through and continue to battle, and we'll see if this heats up to anything because it's close, but Paul Nye here continuing to push and push. But I think Chris Stewart, you can't discount that 515 and the pace there. Bob Carey, look at this, started all the way out of pit lane, and Bob Carey is within 0.8 of a second of getting past Bechtel and getting P6 at least in the GTP category. Maybe not able to recover 40 seconds in 4 minutes, but is in a good spot.
That sharp intake of breath from my side. Ethan Murphy had Bob Carey right up the inside going into the first part of Pouhon. That is definitely as close as you want to make it. Millimeter perfect there by the 280 BMW M V8 hybrid. Of course, the car that is currently used in the IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship by Team RLL. And he just got through at Stavlo of all places on Ben Bechtel. And Bechtel was nearly making it nearly 3 abreast. He's going to try and put the hammer down coming through of Blanchimont here on lap number 28. He's really going for it, is Ben Bechtel, to try and usurp the BMW going into the chicane. And, well, again, Bob Carey started from Stone Dead last, started 30th from pit road, and he's now up 23 spots so far in this race. No, I think that's 24 spots. That just goes to show the pace. And here we are in the battle for P2. Brian Metteler has been dropped like a bad habit on Sunday afternoon, I'm afraid. He's been left high and dry by Paul Nye Senior, who's now 2.5 seconds behind Martin Merkva. Chris Stewart not too far behind the number 66 in the GT3 Pros.
Oh, and that is why.
No.
That is why Brian dropped.
Paul Nye Senior is going to be, definitely going to be investigated for that, I think. And yeah, Brian will definitely not take kindly to that. But you can see how much that Paul Nye Senior was trying to defend, and he thought, well, I'll try and throw it up. I'll try and get inside of Brian, and just that's the thing. I mean, Brian will give his side of the story. Paul will give his side of the story. Whether they see that as a racing incident, it's going to be a tough one to call, because it was like literally millimeters and then contact, and Brian being spun around at the bus stop of all places. And there's more drama. Oh no, was that Paul Nye Senior? Yes, it was. Was that Chris Stewart into the back of him, possibly?
It was.
We'll need to see if they're... Oh, dear. I really would like to see that from another angle, Brad, because here we go, coming out of Pouhon. Right, so what happens here? Oh, Paul's just hit the bump. Oh, he's lost it on his own. There was no contact from Chris Stewart. Paul lost it all on his own. He ran deep, hit the outside curbing. So let's have a look at it again. This is coming out of Pouhon. We're looking for the rear bumper. There you go, onto the curb, sets the back end loose, spins it to the right-hand side, front nose, hits the barriers, and Paul Nye Senior drops out of the podium, but he's back out on track. Not the way that he would have liked to have finished the race, but we are down to 1 minute and 14. I would imagine that we are now on the final lap of this race. Or no, we're not. We will be very shortly, because there is Drew Zerio in the 860 championship winning GTP car for season 8 of Elbows Out Racing Multiclass. He comes across the line to start the white flag lap here, as he crosses the line with 52 seconds to go. We head on to lap 31, the last lap of this circuit, and what a run it's been. Drew Zerio lost the early lead from Eric Mack, but has managed to use his consistency, but also his skills behind the wheel of the Cavallino Rampante, and has just shown fantastic pace. Could have been a very different story had Eric Mack not had those 2 off-track excursions, those 2 faux pas. But Drew Zerio, what can you say about this man? He's done a sterling job at the front end of the field.
I don't think Drew Zerio could have asked for really a better race to go his way. This was just from the top to the bottom, just a very good run. And now it's just one solid lap left to get around. A little bit more traffic to get through. That is Paul Nye Senior. Paul Nye will very politely stay out of the way there on the outside. and allow the GTP through, which is a very good choice there as they go through. I do want to look at the license and the iRating here of Druzerio. This is a very stacked field. So a 2.72 license with a 2300 iRating. This is a field that has a lot of very strong drivers. I was very surprised whenever we were getting in and I was looking at everyone's licenses and iRating. The lowest license in here is a 2.87 C class, and that is in GT3AM. Everyone here is very competitive, very serious, and it's been amazing to kind of watch through. But you know, in the end, the cream of the crop rises to the top, and somebody has to win a race. And for Druzerio, it's going to be just what is it? A feather in the cap for the day. I think that's the saying.
A notch on the tomahawk is probably another one that we could say. But through Blanchimont for the final time comes the man that is going to pick up his latest win and pretty much sow the seeds of doubt into the wilderness. It's going to be a 4th win of the season, and more to the point, the season finale for Multiclass Season 8 here for Elbows Out Racing taken. It's victory for Druzerio in the 860 Ferrari. It's going to be Zach Nerney very shortly in the number 31 from Sweden is going to make it the Ferrari 1-2. Acura will be represented in the top 3 by Puerto Rico's Adam Garcia in the 799, and he makes his way. He's got to be careful of Ethan Murphy's rear wing there. Come on, Adam, just calm. Get out of that bus stop chicane, and Adam Garcia will take a 5th top 5 finish. That's a further podium, but more to the point, we need to look at what is going to happen in the GT3 Pro side of things. Paul Nye Sr. having major damage after the massive off-track, having bumped over the curbs through the exit of Pouhon. Just a couple of laps to go, but it's Martin Merkvart that is now down the hill in towards Rivage for the final time on lap 28 for the GT3s. And more to the point, there has been a change, and it's swapped again in GT3AM. It's swapping like nobody's business. There's musical chairs between Christopher Ondera and Daniel Panaro. Ondera is going to take the checkered, but it is going to be Panaro, and I think will provisionally take the GT3AM title at the final gasp. And there is Colin Bourdon, one of the drivers that had the end of the line penalty. But Martin Merkvart not that far away from taking the checkered flag. There he is, the number 32 Castrol McLaren 720S GT3. What a race it's been for him. He's done a fantastic job at the sharp end of this field. Looking at, Merkvart, the number 52 McLaren. This is going to really put him up the order. Running as one of the pros, would drop 2 positions after Cota. He's going to make up a few this time around here. Looks to be the Argentinian flag, I believe. I'm not 100% sure. But Martin's done a stellar job. He's coming through into the bus stop chicane. The final time, Zerio wins in GTP. Merkvart wins overall in GT3 here at Spa-Francorchamps and will take the checkered after 28 laps. And, well, I'm going to have to say this. It's going to be donuts for the man that took the GTP Season 8 crown. Merkvart takes the win in GT3 Pro. Chris Ondera did finish ahead of Daniel Panaro, I believe, but I think by my presumptive calculations that Daniel Panaro will secure the GT3AM title for Season 8. What a race it's been here in the Ardennes Forest. We had the possibility of rain happening, and I have to say, this is wonderful that Mr. Costa in the Discord they've actually been watching it on a projector screen, so shout out to them. What a season it's been for Elbows Out Racing. It's been a real privilege for us here at Primetime Racing TV to broadcast their Season 8 Multiclass finale. I mean, Brad, this had everything. Zerio wins in GTP. Merkvart GT3 Pro takes the win, despite the fact of Stuart Mettler and Nye Senior were really, really pushing each other quite strongly. And then I think Panaro has taken the AM title in GT3s. But here's your provisional results after the race was concluded. Drew Zerio, the Floridian, takes the win after 31 laps, ahead of Zach Nerney from the Virginias by 13.3 seconds here at Spa-Francorchamps. Adam Garcia from Ohio, 29.1 seconds off the lead, but finishes up on the rostrum with Zerio on victory lane. Eric Mack, Dwight Hibbs, Bob Carey, who made it from Stone Dead last and from pit road when he came to start, to finish 6th, a gain of 24 positions over the course of the race. Ben Bechtel taking the final position in the GTPs. Martin Merkva takes the win in GT3 Pro ahead of Chris Stewart, Brian Metzler, Paul Nye Senior. Paul, it wasn't quite what you wanted at the end of it, but still he takes another top 5 finish to round off his season. Andrew Lau, the driver from New York in the 917, rounds out the top 5. Tyler Steeneck, one of the several drivers, including that were included in having the end-of-line penalty, finishes P6. Matt Toppen, Christopher Ondera from Illinois, finishes in 8th, ahead of Daniel Panaro, with Panaro, the driver in the number 48 from New York, provisionally taking the GT3AM class title down to the wire. Parker Chiapuzio from the Northwest of the USA finishes in P10. Then it's Andrew Parker, Nathan Hempley, Colin Bourdon, Baron Neckas. Then we had Wyatt Kennedy, Hunter Hoffman, who got black flag during the race. Ethan Murphy, who was assaulted from all sides more times than a police pit maneuver here today at Spa. Matthew Santosiero, Kyle O'Grady, Magnus McFalls, Kai Knebel, who was in the pit lane for 28.2 minutes and still managed to get the pink McLaren back on the grid. Seth Wasselman and Jeff Laurinati, unfortunately retiring from the race. But Brad, what can you say about that? That was an absolutely fantastic 60-minute elbows out racing season 8 multi-class finale here at Spa.
So I will say one thing. I got a little bit nervous there whenever they came through, because Martin Merkva had Drew Zerio behind, but Merkva had already crossed the line before Zerio took the checkered flag. So Martin Merkva had to do an entire additional lap to the field to get around to take the checkered flag. That is why Merkva shows a full lap ahead of the rest of the field, because the entire GT3 field went 4 laps down except for Merkva that went 3. I got very nervous in terms of fuel there at the end. I didn't know how that was going to go, but that was a lot of fun, and I really, really enjoyed it. I'm very grateful to Elbows Out Racing for allowing us to have the chance to show off their league and really show things here for what they were. I was very, very happy to have them on board. I hope to see more of them in the future, and congratulations to all the winners here. This league is fun, and honestly, when we're not broadcasting it, I might race in it myself, because I really enjoy this style of racing.
Yeah, well, really, I mean, to be honest with you, we're not going to put anyone under the microscope here for Elbows Out Racing. They've done a fantastic job. Zach Nerney just jumps into chat and says, "Great broadcast, guys, loved it." Zach, thank you so much, and congrats on the P2. But there's a lot coming up here on Primetime Racing TV. We've got the Area Pro Series presented by Florida Estate Builders, round 1 at Daytona, the World Center of Racing, on the 7th of March. Then we go back to Phoenix for Sim 500 Cooks Landscaping Cup Series for race 4 on March 11th. Well, folks, that's a wrap on what's been a great, fantastic season finale. We were thinking it was going to be raining here at Spa. We had overcast conditions, but we had a fantastic race. From wheel-to-wheel battles to breathtaking overtakes, Spa, as always, delivers an ultimate showdown to cap off what has been the best, in their words, the best ever season for Elbows Out Racing. Through rain, even though there was a threat of it, strategy, there was sheer determination, even with the likes of Kai Knebel staying in the pit lane for over 28 minutes and bringing the pink McLaren 513 720S back to bring it to the checkered. A big thank you to the teams. A big thank you to Paul and the team at Elbows Out Racing for allowing us here at Primetime Racing TV to broadcast this Season 8 multi-class finale. A big thank you to everyone that's watched. And you know what? At the end of the day, every series in sim racing is built on passion. Well, until next time here on Primetime Racing TV, stay fast, stay fearless, and as always, keep those elbows out. You've been listening to Florian Rudiger and Brad Dalton. We've been your commentary team. We look forward to seeing you next time. Good night.